88 members. There's only 3 officers in the squadron and 87 enlisted members. Air traffic control is an enlisted specialty in the military. So we are over 100% manned in my squadron. We have 12 full-time military technicians here at Stanley County Airport, and I'm the only squadron in the Air National Guard in the state of North Carolina that has Department of the Air Force civilian employees assigned to it. And I have 2 contract employees who maintain the equipment in the control tower. Now, we've participated in the global war on terrorism in these countries: Afghanistan, too far, Afghanistan, Iraq, Kuwait, Qatar, Korea, Uzbekistan, and Kyrgyzstan. Those last 2 are former Soviet states. I deployed to Uzbekistan in 2005. I've got to tell you, deploying to the former Soviet Union was very interesting to me, because this country was part of the country that used to be our enemy, and I was working side by side with their military members in the Uzbek Air Force headquarters, representing our embassy, issuing diplomatic clearances to our airplanes that were flying across Uzbekistan, delivering supplies in Afghanistan. And then within the same year, I was in Iraq at Baghdad, running the control tower there. Now, my most recent deployment was to Afghanistan. Now, Afghanistan is a landlocked country. It's slightly smaller than Texas in size, and they have 32 million people in Afghanistan. 42% of that country is ethnically Pashtun, and 27% are Tajiks, they're from the north, and a blend of other ethnic groups. In Afghanistan, the life expectancy is 44 years old for men and for women. They're 99% Muslim, with about 80% Sunni, 20% Shiite, and they have high unemployment, about 40% unemployment. And 53% of the population lives below the poverty line for Afghanistan, which is far, far below the poverty line for us. Now, Afghanistan is made up of 34 provinces, and most of the fighting is in the Helmand province and in the Kandahar province in the southern part of the country. And that's where the opium production is centered at. Now, on my way into Afghanistan, I went through there. When I arrived on Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar on the rotator to get into theater, I thought I was going to be going right into Afghanistan, so I went to the passenger service desk and handed my orders to the clerk and said, I would like to go on to Afghanistan now. And he looked at my orders and he said, you're not going anywhere, your orders say you're coming right here. So I had to wait a few days and get that cleared up at the headquarters there at Al Udeid, and what they did, they wrote a letter. They gave me a letter and said, you're going to deploy forward on this letter, so you have to find your own way in Afghanistan now. It felt kind of odd to me, having to find my own way there. So I go back to the airport, to the terminal, and hand my letter there, and I asked the young guy, I said, now how do I get to Kabul? Because I'm supposed to go to Kabul airport, and I'm going to run the control tower there. And he said, well, we don't have any direct flights that go to Kabul. And he suggested a couple of ways to get there, and the one that sounded the most appealing to me was to fly to this place called Camp Bastion. I'd never heard of it. And in Camp Bastion, they have flights leaving all the time for Kabul, he said, so you won't have any time to hang out there at all. You'll just be on one airplane and off the other. So I said, that's the one I want, I'll fly there. So I flew to Camp Bastion, and I was really surprised with what I discovered there. I ended up spending 24 hours there. On one side of the runway is the British base. On the other side of the runway is an American base called Camp Leatherneck, very appropriate for the Marine Corps. And on one side of the runway were 15,000 Royal Marines, and on the other side of the runway, 15,000 United States Marines. I was in the safest place in the country. Now, I spent 24 hours there, and I'd never been anywhere remotely like that place. It's just something to see, and I can't even describe it. when you're surrounded by that many Marines living in field conditions, in tents, and all the dust that's being created, and that many people require certain services, so the air had a particular odor to it. Most of you know what that is. Very interesting place, though. Now, on my way out of there, I did get to fly via a British C-130 up to Kabul International Airport and landed there in the middle of the night. Now, I kind of wondered what it was I was going to be doing there in Afghanistan. So when I got there, I went to find who I was working for. I actually had two different chains of command that I was working for. I was on a NATO base working for a Hungarian general whose job it was to run the airport and ensure that the mission of the aerial port of debarkation continued to run. That is, we moved people and cargo constantly in the airport. When I found the American that I was working for, Colonel, he gave me this mission. He said, this is your job. He said, I want you to run a safe air traffic control tower. I want you to train the Afghan controllers to take over and don't delay general Petraeus. And that was my job right there, in a nutshell, but it was so much more than that. So I've got some pictures to show you from Kabul International Airport. This is the terminal, the tower, and the civilian terminal. This tower is not very pretty. It was built by the Soviets in the 1950s as part of their foreign aid package to Afghanistan, which bordered the Soviet Union on the southern side. And it was always the ambition of the Soviet Union to have a warm water navy, and they needed to try to secure some ports there. So they had a strategy. They wanted to be cozied up with Afghanistan and then also Pakistan to be able to get to the big port at Karachi. But they built this as part of their foreign aid program back in the 1950s. Typically Soviet, very ugly but very functional. Very thick concrete walls and nothing pretty about it at all. But this airport is the hub of commerce there in Kabul, and on the south side of the airport is a civilian airport, and there's 7 different scheduled airliners that fly into Kabul almost every day. 3 of them are based there, Ariana, Safi, and Cam Air, and then we also have airlines from Pakistan, from Iran, from some of the Arab states and India that also fly into there. And this is a picture from the control tower that one of my photographer friends made. I just borrowed this picture from him, but that's a 747 on departure. And as it's flying away, and you have to look very close to see this, you'll notice that off in the distance there are houses there that are literally made of mud. The Afghans in Kabul are probably living in the more prosperous part of the country, but they make their homes out of material that they have available to them, and their homes are literally made out of mud. Now, in addition to serving the civilian aircraft, the north side of the airport is home to the NATO airport of debarkation, the part of the airport that I was assigned to, but left daily to go to the south side of the airport to run the control tower. And also the Afghan National Air Force is on the north side. So military airplanes of all description that have to do with hauling of personnel or cargo were flying in there around the clock, along with lots and lots of helicopters. And I got to tell you, it was quite a busy control tower to work at. We would do more or handle more traffic in one day at this airport than my tower here in Stanley County would handle in an entire month. This is how busy the tower was. Looking down from the control tower, I made this photo of a Cam Air MD-80. And off in the distance, you can see how rugged and mountainous the terrain is surrounding Kabul. It's in a bowl.